Gee, Steve, what are we going to do tonight?
Same thing we do every podcast. Tell him how we sees it.
And goddamn it, Junior, how many times am I going to have to tell you to keep that damn cigar out of my face? Huh? Christ almighty, it's like I'm sitting here playing cards with my brother's kids or something. You nerve-wracking sons of bitches. Something on your mind?
Just want to let you know you're sitting in my chair.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, for a man that don't go heeled, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
No need to go heel to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Is that a fact?
That's a fact.
Well, I'm real scared.
Damn right you're scared. I can see that in your eyes.
All right, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy. Oh. You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Why, Johnny Tyler! You madcap!
Doc,
Where you going with that shotgun?
I didn't know you was back in town.
Well, well. How the hell are you?
Wyatt, I am rolling. Morgan,
Doc.
Virgil.
Ooh, Doc. Wyatt Earp. Going into business for ourselves, Doc. Wyatt just got us a faro game.
Oh, since when is faro a business?
Didn't you always say that gambling's an honest trade?
No, I said poker's an honest trade. Only suckers buck the tiger. The odds are all on the house.
Depends on how you look at it. I mean, it's not like anybody's putting a gun to their head now, is it?
That's what I love about Wyatt. He can talk himself into anything. Oh, Johnny, I apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go now.
Just leave that shotgun. Leave it.
Thank you.
Here we go. It's How We Sees It, episode 294. This week, we're coming to you with a epic movie. Some call this the most epic Western to ever hit the screen. Some people don't say that, but some people do. We're talking about 1993 Tombstone. I listening to some people talk about this, they're like, "Oh my God, it's the greatest movie ever!" And then listening to some other people, they're like, "Yeah, it's okay." And then some people are like, "It's shit." But I think most of the people I listen to, talk to, have ever heard talk about this movie, love this movie, and it's crazy the amount of stuff I found out how this got to us. Even
Sure,
it's insane.
Sure. The number of directors it kind of went through, and...
right?
Yeah.
This is Russell Crowe.
No, it's not.
No, Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. There you go.
I don't even. I was actually gonna say what's it? Not Kurt. Not even Russell Crowe. It's the other, the one who played Wyatt Earp.
That's Kurt Russell.
No. No, not in this movie. In the movie Wyatt Earp, Dances with Wolves. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh, Kevin Costner. Right.
Kevin Costner. Yeah. The amount of stuff that happened behind the scenes with him in this is. I don't know if you've heard or know about it.
Oh no, I'm interested to hear about that. No, I don't know about that.
It's crazy. I went down some deep holes on this one, and it's so fascinating. It literally makes me want to get some more information.
Is that because of Wyatt Earp coming out and how that was? These movies were kind of, in a sense, in competition.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, good.
It's part that, and then that also led into actual real history of the Earp brothers, and just.
I'm
Doc Holliday.
I'm just going to sit back on this podcast and let you rock your chair and tell us some stories. I like this.
I wish it was that simple, but no, you're going to join me with this one.
Right.
But before we get too deep into this, what we really got to get into is our cocktails, our drinks, and we create something new for every show we do. And that's no different on this one. I'm going to go first real quick because I've started sipping one of them, and I really want to try the other one because it's something new for me, kinda.
All right,
which is interesting enough. The first one I went with, I had to go with something Doc Holliday, because he is by far the most mesmerizing and interesting character out of this movie. Everybody knows Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday.
Absolutely.
Just so many. Matter of fact,
which is why we're here, because this is a Val Kilmer month.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And, yep.
So in not too long ago, we did Mystery Alaska.
There's your Russell Crowe reference.
There's my Russell Crowe. And I had got it's ice blue huckleberry vodka, and I had got it just for that drink, but I really, really enjoyed it. I was like, this is some really good shit. Huckleberry should be everywhere. But we all know the classic line, I'm your huckleberry. Matter of fact, I was talking to a guy I work with, young kid. He's only 25. He's as young as my youngest daughter. And I was asking him, and I'm like, had you ever seen this? He's like, no, never seen it. And I was like, well, it came out before you were born. Okay. I'm like, do you know anything about, Wyatt Earp? And he's like, I kind of think I've heard the name. And I'm like, have you ever heard I'll Be Your Huckleberry? He's like, oh yeah, I've heard that. And I'm like, motherfucker, don't even know where it comes from. But anyways, so I wanted to go with that huckleberry. But I was like trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. And so I was looking around for something. I kind of had to go with a bourbon. I wanted to go with a bourbon too, because, that's what those guys drank out there, was whiskey and bourbon. In the Old West, that was the kind of go-to. So I was looking around, and I found a drink. It was a whiskey vodka old fashioned, and I was like, oh, that works. I like that idea, because it kind of gives me that old school drink, old fashioned. This movie is about the old times where they're about really old fashioned, and I never really make old fashioned, so I was like, oh, this is something new for me. So I started out like a basic old-fashioned. I didn't have a sugar cube, so I went with a spoonful of sugar, the bottom of the glass. I put in. I didn't have the Ancaster's bitters, but I had one that was it's an old-fashioned aromatic bitters.
There you go.
It's by the Fee Brothers. So I was like, that works. I did 2 dashes, the way Bo told us how dashes are supposed to be done. With the tilt of the jar, and tilt it all the way back up. A little bit of water in there, mix it up until it's nice and, mixed up. I poured in 2 ounces of that huckleberry vodka, and I went with 1 ounce of a Brothers Bond bourbon. And the reason I went with the Brothers Bond, I was originally going to go with Bullet because it's a frontier of bourbon, but I wanted to go with the Brothers Bond because the bond of the brothers, the Earp brothers, right, and the bond between Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp. So I kind of had to go with that one just because it kind of fit, and it's a little higher end bourbon, so I thought it'd help it taste a little better. So I went with that. Mix those in. The ice cubes I went with. I've got this portable ice maker that we got for when we're camping, and it makes little ice cubes that look like little bullets. And so I wanted to use those. I filled the glass up with those, so I thought that was really cool. It said to garnish it with an orange slice, and so I actually had a real orange here, and I was going to cut it up, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, those guys wouldn't have had, fruit. They might have had some dehydrated fruit because, to get it out there. So I had to go with the dehydrated orange just because those guys were all dusty and dirty and dehydrated, and we'll talk about some of the heat that they went through in the filming.
Oh yeah,
so I wanted to go with dehydrated. And then it said bring a cherry, and I was like, I can't just do one cherry. Doc deserves two. So I went with a bourbon cherry, and also, he's got that famous line. He's like, "You're too drunk to hit. You're probably seeing two of us." He's like, "I got two guns, one for each of you." And so I went with the two cherries for that. So I made I'm calling this my Frontier Dentist cocktail, because Doc Holliday was actually a dentist. And he was out in the frontier.
That's right.
Doing dental work the old-fashioned way. He would shoot that pain right out your mouth.
Very
And
nice.
I'm going to give it a try.
All right. And you got another drink coming too, so I'm not going to interrupt.
Well, that's pretty good.
All right.
Not it's a little more, on the savory side, where I'm usually more citrus, but it's pretty good. I like it. The huckleberry really comes through, kind of gives it a nice smooth to it. So I also going to Sacramento when I was working out there, we would go to this restaurant called the Lazy Dog, and it's old Western themed, even, or not really, more like lumberjack themed. But they have a Huckleberry Haze beer that they brew there, an IPA, Huckleberry Haze IPA, and it is absolutely delicious. And it just happened that my two sisters were traveling up from there for my daughter's bridal shower this weekend. So I was like, "Hey, can you stop and get me a 4-pack of beers?" And they did. They brought me. So I actually have some Huckleberry Haze beer to go with this, in kind of in honor of Bo, who would have liked to have been with us, but he's traveling today. And again, I took a picture of two of them together, mostly on the idea that, Doc has two guns, just so in case he's seeing two of you, because he's been drinking a little bit.
Gotcha. So anyone who looks at the picture, that's actually one can. You're just seeing double. Got it.
Exactly. And if I drink all of I've got poured out for me tonight on this episode, I probably will be seeing two. So.
Yeah.
Good stuff, though. I'm really excited for it. All right, Steve, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, when I started watching this movie, one of the things that I remember from when I watched it back in the 90s, I guess, was his wife Maddie and her addiction to laudanum. I thought that was interesting, but I didn't know too much about it, so I did a little research on that, just thinking, why not? What's up with this? Because she's obviously getting a nice buzz off of it. Maybe it's something I can turn into a cocktail. And so when I looked up laudanum, it said a tincture of opium. And so opium, of course, you got some poppy seeds and stuff like that. That's certainly, it says it's containing approximately 10% powdered opium. And it was typically used for pain relief. And it is actually something you didn't even need a prescription for, but they did prescribe it for pain relief.
They still prescribe it today.
Yeah. But one of the things that I had never heard the word tincture, and just saying it kind of was weird to me. I didn't know if I was pronouncing it right. I went and tincture. I don't know. Had you ever heard of tincture?
No.
Okay, well, there you go. It's a laudanum is a tincture of opium. A tincture is typically an extract of plant or herbs and material dissolved in ethanol. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to make a cocktail and make it and turn it into a tincture. So that was my goal, just kind of going down this tincture route. So I decided to turn mine into actually a prescription. If you look at my picture, I actually put it in a corked bottle with a prescription on it that is, well, I call it tincture of opium, but and I actually, it's kind of ambiguous on whether or not this is prescribed to Doc Holliday or if it's actually prescribed by Doc Holliday, because I had DDS on there too, because he used to prescribe stuff when he was a dentist. I'm sure you get a tooth pulled from him, you're gonna want some pain medication. So anyway, that was this, and like you, well, if I drink that all that I made, I would be very, very drunk, because I filled my entire bottle for it. So this is actually four times what my cocktail calls for. And I have a glass here that I'm going to pour this into once I uncork it. But here's what it was. It started with, and the ingredients I'm going to give are balanced for 1/4 of what's in this bottle. So that's just a typical pour. So I started with 1 ounce of Old Overholt Rye. That's a rye whiskey, and Old Overholt is actually something that was available back in the 1880s. So I'm kind of digging into some actual legit rye whiskey that was available. That who knows? Maybe that's what they were drinking at the time. Who knows? And then I went with 3/4 ounces of Cynar. This is, again, here's that herbal side coming out, since this is a tincture, and a tincture is typically an extract of plant or something herbal. I thought, hey, let's go with some Cynar, give it some bitterness. Same with Benedictine. I'll put a half ounce of Benedictine in there. That's a rich herbal French liqueur. I added some honey-infused syrup to give it a little bit of texture. And a little sweetness to it. 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. Here you're going down New Orleans bitters, so that's kind of where we're in the South here. At least that's where Doc Holliday gets some of his genteel accent, I believe. So,
yeah.
And I went with an absinthe.
Georgia man.
Yep, I went with an absinthe rinse. That's since a tincture is dissolved in ethanol, I figured I'd give it a nice absinthe rinse, and you stir it up. And again, I put 4 times the amount in this, put a little prescription, and I figured rather before I pour it, I should probably do just like Maddie does, where what does she do? She kind of sticks her finger in there and kind of rubs it along her gums, just like probably like Doc Holliday would prescribe. So that's it. That's my tincture of opium. No opium in this, but that's okay. The laudanum, The laudanum was opium laced, so we'll just pretend here.
No, I got you. That's awesome. That's a good one. It's funny you rubbing that on your gums like that. Did you have you with your children, or did you ever, as a child, have anybody rub whiskey or anything when you had a toothache?
I'm trying to think of some relatives. I don't think that ever happened to me. No. I think Cindy.
It works.
I think Cindy's mentioned that when she was growing up, she had some relatives that were doing that sort of stuff.
But my mom did it. My mom did it when I was probably 5 or 6.
Sure. No. The only thing I had kind of rubbed on my gums was when my mom washed my mouth out with soap, and it was.
Oh, that's a different thing.
I know.
No, this was all for the pain. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I did it to all 3 of them, but I know I hit at least one of my children with a little bit of that on their gums at one point.
This is really good. It does have kind of that old-fashioned taste to it. It feels almost like kind of dank, and like a dank old-fashioned, which kind of seems like it fits the 1880s pretty nice. Maybe it's been sitting around on the shelf for 150 years, and now I'm finally getting to it.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that. It's funny. This old fashioned. It's something I've never really. This might actually be the first time I've ever had an actual old fashioned. I kind of like it. It's not bad at all. So I could see that being, especially for you. I know you like those kind of flavors a little better. Nice. Yeah.
Well, you've got a little vodka in yours.
That huckleberry definitely comes through and brings a sweetness to it. It's almost a blueberry-esque kind of flavor, and the cherry and the orange with that aroma really come off too. And flavors come from the smell a lot. So it makes it really nice.
But you're usually also more citrus forward too. You'll come up with something to brighten it up with citrus, and this is more on the bitter end of things for you. That's good. You're out of your comfort zone. There you go.
I almost put a little lime in there, because they probably would worry about scurvy, and limes will help with scurvy. So. I think it's one of the beer commercials that they're talking about, don't fruit the beer, and there's one guy who's like, I had scurvy once, and anytime I put lime in something, I always remember that, and it always cracks me up.
So when you started the podcast, you said there were different types of people and what they thought of this movie. I just got to say off the bat, this is not one of my favorite movies, but this is one of my favorite performances. So I could watch Val Kilmer's scene over and over again. Yeah. Till the end of time. I think he elevates this movie alone, his performance. Mm-hmm. There are other scenes. I think Kurt Russell nails it a lot of times. I love Ike, the
Stephen Lang.
Yeah,
as
Stephen
Ike Brown.
Lang. Fascinating that, I did a little bit of a background. We've also got Michael Biehn, which I wasn't as big of a fan of, and yet both of them kind of have
Johnny Ringo, come on.
I know, and both of them have some background with James Cameron, or I guess in Lang's, it's foreground when he got into Avatar. Michael Biehn, I really like his stuff with James Cameron, when it comes to what's the underwater one, and of course Terminator.
Terminator was I think his big.
Yeah, but the underwater one, I think I like him better in that one. What the hell's that movie called? And it's not. I'm not talking about Avatar 2 because that was also underwater. I'm talking about the one where they're doing all the
Abyss.
The Abyss. Yeah, thank you. I remember really liking Michael Biehn in that, but in here I thought it was very flat. Powers Booth, very flat. There's so
Really, you thought Powers Booth was flat?
I thought it was. Yeah, it was kind of a one-note performance.
Oh my God, I think he was one of. I think he was kind of over the top. Like he, to me, was a very flamboyant, and not in that normal flamboyant, but just very comical almost in a way. The way he were, you want to talk flat, and I love this guy to death. And his character was flat, and he played it really flat. But you got Sam Elliott as Virgil Earp. He had one of the best mustaches in this movie.
I know.
But
I actually rated mustaches myself. If we ever get into that in the conversation, I have my top 3, and we can.
I mean, he looked like he belonged in this movie. He still looks like he belongs in this time frame. But he was a little flat. Bill Paxton as Morgan Earp. Nothing coming out of there that was like over the top, but he was great. But Powers Booth was. I mean, everybody remembers Curly Bill from this movie. He's almost as much as Doc Holliday.
I do remember him. To me, there just wasn't. It seemed kind of like a. The first time you see him to the last time you see him, he doesn't really change his tune. This is just it just didn't seem like it had much nuance to it. But I do think that's also an effect of having multiple directors, kind of this, it's too many characters that you can't keep track of.
A lot of characters.
And it really gave the people who really wanted to kind of do their own thing, like certainly Val Kilmer, just kind of, he figured out his performance. He made it all about the performance. And I don't know if Val Kilmer wasn't there, I think to me, this would have been a B movie that wouldn't have made it. In fact, I
think you're right.
In fact, I think even I'm going to bring Siskel and Ebert up because they were the big critics at the time. It took them like 6 weeks before they reviewed it, and because it didn't have much play, but it was because of all the word of mouth of Val Kilmer's performance that they finally grabbed it and reviewed it. And they were split on their thumbs up, thumbs down.
If I remember correctly, they came back even a couple years later and reevaluated, and I think they both went up a little bit from their original.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to do that. I mean, we also got a couple other guys in here. Charleston Heston was in
more than a couple other guys. Yeah, there's
Thomas Hayden Church is Billy Clayton. You got Michael Roker as Sherman McMasters. Harry Carey Jr. is Marshall Fred White. Just that's just a few of the. Jason Priestley, Billy Breckenridge.
So forgettable.
So I was just going to say the same thing. It's like, if you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't know after. It's funny because I remember seeing that again. I'm like, I didn't remember him being in there. And then when it finished, I was like, yeah, I remember why. Billy Bob Thornton, Billy Bob Thornton, no less, is John Tyler. And these are all, none of these
Johnny
names
Tyler.
are made up.
Yeah, and you know that I think Billy Bob Thornton, okay, the reason I'm so familiar with that is because of the scene, because that's the scene where Val Kilmer, first kind of meets back up with
Johnny
the Earps.
Tyler.
Johnny Tyler, exactly. And my favorite moment in that scene is when he there's that pause in the conversation when he's talking to Wyatt, but he says, "Wait, Johnny, you may go now. But leave the shotgun."
Well, it's Herb who tells him to leave the shotgun. But yeah, it's funny. Thing I did here is Billy Bob Thornton. They didn't have his lines written for him. He kind of
they
pulled
said,
all
"Be
those
mean,"
off the
right?
cuff. Yeah, and just really cool. But all those were, I mean, you got. It's very interesting going back.
There's a lot of women in this too. So although I think most of their roles were very underdeveloped, and maybe they were, I think in the original script there was a lot more. Maybe this was originally going to be like a miniseries or something like that. But Dana Wheeler Nicholson was Maddie, who I mentioned. Who I thought she was really interesting of a role, especially there's that scene when she's like kind of laughing when he kind of catches her and
a little fucked up.
Yeah, I really appreciated that performance, but there just wasn't enough to kind of care for her as a character. Instead, you just kind of hate her, or at least they make it seem like
they do. Well, it depends on how you come down on the side of the herbs.
They just didn't give her character a chance to make you understand her at all. And so
the only one that really gets anything was Dana Delaney, who played Josephine Marcus, who is again, these are all real people. None of these people are made up. And so she gets the kind of big limelight. We got the lady that's kind of hanging out with Doc in the beginning. She's based off a woman named Big Nose Kate, but they didn't put the big nose in her IMDb. It's just Kate. Joan Pacola. I loved her in the beginning because she's just as ruthless as Doc. She's right along with him, and he even he goes, "You might be an angel, or you might be the Antichrist."
Yeah, exactly.
So, Maddie, you were talking about Ali Earp as Paula Malkinson and Lisa Collins as Louise Earp. So those are the wives. And yes, you said. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned that all these are real people. It's interesting in I'm on Wikipedia and I'm hovering over the cast. You can hover over the left side, which is the actor, or you can hover over to the right side and you get a picture of the actual person.
The real person.
And there's like 20 cast members here with real pictures that you can look at, which is fascinating.
So, real quick, we'll get into the movie, and then I'll talk about some of the other stuff later on, some of the real life kind of stuff I learned. George Costamatos was put down as the director. He's the guy that came in 4 weeks after this was all started. It actually started with Kevin Jarre.
I think Jarre is the
Jarre. It sounds right
pronunciation, but
he's the writer, and he's literally the one who brought this to life, and he's the one that really worked to get this off. I think he was a little too close to it and wasn't a director, and so 4 weeks into this, they're like,
he was overwhelmed.
You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Well, he also was trying to film this in a different way that probably wouldn't have worked. As a matter of fact, there's, I think, 2 scenes that he filmed that actually survived, and they happen to be the 2 with Charleston Heston.
Oh.
Like the way he filmed them, because that was the only time they got Charleston Heston. He never was able to come back, so they weren't able to refilm those. So those shots had to be like that. If you see, it's kind of has a more spaghetti Western feel to it. It has a more old school, like big shots. These, everybody in the background has to be doing their thing, right? Where, Costamato came in supposedly, and I'll tell you about that if you don't know, and directed and got these other shots. So what I mean by Costamato is, it came out a couple years ago that Kurt Russell might have been the
more than a couple years ago,
the Ghost director, and it comes out as he promised Costamato that he would never say anything while he was alive.
Oh, okay.
And so what it was is Costamato ran a lot of the stuff day to day, but Kurt Russell was behind the scenes telling him, this is what you need to shoot. This, he was setting up the stuff and getting it, and then he was kind of checking in with him daily. None of the other actors really ever dropped the bomb on him and like saying, yeah, it was really Kurt running the show. So it was really kind of a...
Val Kilmer did kind of... He said our stories aren't quite in alignment when he was talking about Kurt Russell's... What Kurt Russell said. He said, but he definitely agreed how much Kurt... And it sounds like Val Kilmer, even as far as like editing and things like that, had to do with it. So there was some continuity.
Russell didn't get to do any of the editing. He had to jump off to another movie.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So he didn't get to do any of the editing, but he did a lot of the shooting and rewriting. And apparently if they would have done this movie the way Kevin Jarre started it, it would have been 4 hours long.
Yeah, sounds like a miniseries, especially with
Yeah.
that many characters.
So there was a lot more story to it. The women had a lot more story. The cowboys, which are the bad guys, if you know, that's Curly Bill and Ike and those guys. They were the cowboys, right? That they were essentially the bad guys. There was more story with them in the original. And then what happened was as they shopped this around to get this, and there's a big story with that, and I'll even get into that a little bit later, that it ended up technically with Disney. It was the overall. I can't remember they had a subsidiary that they did their non-Disney stuff through, but that's who it was. They said 2 hours, so they had to cut this down quite a bit. So through the rewrites,
and they didn't manage it too. I think it came in at like 2 hours.
They're like 10 minutes over. I listening to some people, they were like, "Oh, this could have been, this has 20 minutes too long," and I was like, "No, this has 20 minutes too short. I want more." Actually, I take that back. I love the first half of this movie.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of it up until
I do not care about the Vendetta ride. I find some issues with it, and you know me with poking holes in theory and logic and riding on horseback, shooting shotguns at guys on horses. You're not going to hit shit.
I absolutely agree, and I think this kind of leans into my whole saying that this movie doesn't necessarily hold up as a whole movie. Because to me, that's a big part of a movie is how it, how you sit with it after, and it because of the underdeveloped characters, the amount of characters, and just kind of the acts feel a little disjointed. It doesn't work for me as a whole movie, but it does when you break down. This is one of those movies that if I'm channel surfing, if that's still a thing, and this movie's there, I will be riveted until whatever scene that's over, goes into the next scene that doesn't matter, and then I'm like, okay, I can move on now.
So channel surfing is a thing. It's very not as much like. So I was in Vegas like 2 weeks ago, and I just turned on the TV in my hotel room, and the one day I got real lucky, and I had an MCU Avengers like 12-hour run of just Avenger after Avenger, and I was like, well, that's great. So the next day I woke up after my 3 hours of sleep. I throw on the TV again just because I like to have noise in the room. I hate just silence. Tombstone just started. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, this is fucking great. So I literally got to watch all my favorite parts before I had to leave because I had about an hour, and that's about what I get into. I think I got right up to the shootout at the OK Corral, which is technically right adjacent to the OK Corral, but I got up to that point, and then I had to leave, and which is kind of right. I think there's a little bit after it that's still really good, but then when he goes on his Vendetta ride, it gets a little old, it gets a little repetitive, it gets a little it loses the story a little bit. But I mean, there's just so much good stuff in this.
I do think if they're going to cut it, it was a good decision. And I think this had a lot to do with Kurt Russell focusing and maybe expanding on the relationship between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday
and his brothers and what the.
No, I mean those two. Because his brothers, that I think probably got a little less attention. They get shot, and but I think Kurt Russell wanted to expand more on Val Kilmer. Maybe he saw the performance Val Kilmer was delivering and said, "This is how we're going to make our movie." But
the word on the street is that Kurt Russell was heavily involved with the rewrites and cutting. And he ended up cutting a lot of his own lines, leaving a lot of Doc Holliday's there, almost just taking out the women completely, taking out the cowboys completely, to the point where a lot of these actors reread some of the stuff and they're like, if I would have read this the way it is now, I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah, maybe I would have been more interested in Powers Booth's performance if they added more performances that I didn't see, because it seemed like I'm not gonna, I guess
Powers Booth to me in this is so memorable. there's something about him in that character, and he's been in a lot of stuff. I don't know if you've ever watched I think it's Deadwood.
No, I remember him from like an old movie, Southern Comfort, and I think he was Extreme Prejudice. There's one that was Nick Nolte, opposite Nick Nolte, a Walter Hill film that I remember back in the 80s. Okay. But I didn't see much. I didn't see any of his TV work. So if that's,
he's been in a lot of stuff. Deadwood is one of the ones I remember. Plays Kai Tolver. Deadwood is another one. If you like Western stories, like Old West stories, where gambling and shooting and fucking lawlessness is just runs abound. It's a great series. It's one of my dad's favorite series. I would have to say he's probably rewatched that series 4 or 5 times minimum. Kind of thing, but he's great in that. He's in the MCU. He's got a tie to the MCU. He's in the Avengers as one of the World Security Council guys. I think he's like the main dude.
That's right. He was in the Avengers. He passed away looks like about 8 years ago.
When I see his face, I just think of him as Curly Bill. And so it's one of those things. I love to hate him. In this movie.
Sure. To me, Ike is the one that I think I really liked Ike's. This is what's his name?
See, Ike is the most unlikable, cowardly cur in the whole fucking movie.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about performance. I'm talking about just feeling like this is a powerful performance that felt authentic and still amusing to watch. And that's not for me. That's a better balance than just pure authentic, because then sometimes that can be boring. But I loved some of his line deliveries. I thought we missed out on him in the climax, because he doesn't get taken out. He gets a little written blurb in the afterward.
Well, so they show him running off and taking off his little red sash.
Yeah,
but he's also one of those guys that should have been shot 6 times to Sunday and never did. I
would have liked to have seen a finale with him just because of the performance that he gave. But there you go. I mean, maybe it was, he's on my top 3 mustaches too. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Interesting. Okay. He does have the look. He's a dirty baby in this. He looks so grungy.
And he's got the beard too. When you talk about your dad, part of me thinks, your dad kind of has the mustache and beard look going too. That kind of, I don't equate him to Ike, but I do. That's kind of more the look.
I'm going to see him tomorrow. So I'll let him know that he's got that old West look without being the bad Old West look.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so one of the cool, let's talk about some facial hair in this, because it is by far the best mustache movie ever known to man.
I read there was only one mustache that wasn't legit, and that was the sheriff, because he had some other thing that he had to stay clean shaven for, but everyone else is. What?
Yeah, that's John Tenney is Behan, and I didn't know it was because of some other reason. I just thought maybe he couldn't grow, because there were some people that did have great mustaches, which would have kept me out of this film, because I can't grow facial hair.
Even Val Kilmer didn't. I mean, he had a very great one for the look of Doc Holliday, but it wasn't this epic Sam Elliott or
Oh yeah, no.
And Sam Elliott's just kind of. That's almost his staple. There's been a few things I've seen him in where he doesn't have a mustache, and it's like, what?
Yeah, no. You're like, dude, you need some facial hair. The Ranch is a series that was on, which is it's a like a comedy sitcom type thing.
Yeah,
he is great in that. He's himself almost. But yeah, the mustaches. Yeah, the funny thing is that they were like all legit, and it's like that's fucking great. And they let everybody kind of style their own. They're like, yeah, you just grow what you grow and make it look good. And
it's great going through Wikipedia and highlighting the cast, but then going to the other real person. So here's Wyatt Earp, and he's got the big handlebar mustache, and real Doc Holliday handlebar. I mean, all the real people have these legit mustaches. It's like, yeah, that was the sign of the time. I thought Kurt Russell's looked great, and it was nice to know that it was actually a real mustache.
There was one shot when I watched this about 3 times getting ready for this podcast, and I've watched it about 10, 15 times before that since 1993. There was one shot where they showed him, and I was like, oh, that's not the greatest mustache I remember. But in a lot of the other scenes, he has a great. I actually think Bill Paxton has a pretty decent one in it. It looks like just a regular, normal mustache. I was like, but it fits. But yeah, I love the fact that all of them have like a mixture of, some of them got the little devil patch underneath the lip. You know, Val Kilmer has it. A couple of the cowboys have it. You know, none of it. It's not like everybody said, "Oh, we're all going to have this same thing." It's just like, no, like, grow your shit and, you know, look your way. I think that's one of the reasons this movie is so good too, is because of one of the things that happened with this is, and I'll get a little bit into it. Kevin Costner tried to stop this movie because he was actually, well, here's the story behind it. He was given the script to say, like, they wanted him for Wyatt Earp. Well, at the time, he was writing a Wyatt Earp movie. He was writing the Wyatt Earp, and apparently he disagreed with the fact that this movie covered all of them, and he wanted to be centric on Wyatt Earp and all this, and so he passed on it. But not only did he pass on it, he went and tried to sabotage them being able to make it because he wanted to make his own. So all this stuff was going on. One of the things that happened is they started getting ready to shoot Wyatt Earp, and there was a couple other things. They had all the Western costumes in L.A. and at the local area rented out. Couldn't get a goddamn costume to save their life.
Because of Tombstone?
No, Tombstone had to go elsewhere because...
Oh, I think you said Wyatt Earp couldn't get him. Okay.
Wyatt Earp had him.
Got it.
So they had to go, and they went to someone in Europe, and they came back and they said, "Look, we want this to be different. We want it to be more realistic." And so they were talking to some historians and stuff, and they said, "Look, cowboys weren't all wearing dirt brown and black and shit like that. Certain people, like the Earps, were wearing black because they were card dealers." Right, so they were wearing black with the white T-shirts, and because they were gamblers. The town folk were wearing colorful stuff. The cowboys were wearing colorful stuff. Not only that, but they made all of the costumes in full wool.
Here gets to your heat thing. I think I've heard about this from Val Kilmer.
So they filmed this in Arizona, just outside of the actual Tombstone, from what I understand. And these guys were wearing actual full fucking wool costumes with all their stuff. So Val Kilmer's sweat is legit. That's just, he's not sick. He's just hot as fuck. So apparently one of the scenes it was inside even, and they had a thermometer in I think it was one of the saloon scenes. It read 137 inside the when they're filming, and it's like, no wonder he looks sickly and all that. So and he also said he understands why Doc Holliday was such an ornery cuss, is because, you know, he was burning up inside and it drove him nuts. And so I found that hilarious.
Gives a whole new definition to method acting too, when you're just kind of
right. Well,
faced with actual legitimate.
Oh, I wish I could remember who said it. There's another person they asked, and it's actually someone from this movie. I can't remember who it was, but they asked him if they had ever met Val Kilmer or what they thought of Val Kilmer. He's like, I don't know who that is. He goes, I know who Doc Holliday is, but I don't know who Val Kilmer is. Because Val Kilmer is that kind of method actor, and he was Doc Holliday through this. Okay. And it might have been Thomas Hayden Church that said it. It was one of the guys, but I just thought I was like, that's fucking cool, because he makes this movie. I think you said it earlier. If he doesn't play Doc Holliday the way he does, this movie is not the same.
It's the performance, I think, defies, you know, any sort of trope. It feels just created for it. You're not going to find this sort of performance anywhere else, just because of, you know, he brought some things to it. He brought that genteel accent. I mean, I'm sure that was a choice, probably based on some, some guests about some of his background. I think Val Kilmer actually had a relative that was involved with Gone with the Wind or wrote Gone with the Wind.
I think he checked with people from Georgia where Doc Holliday was from.
Yeah. And then there was a script. I don't know how much he went away from the script or not. I know there's the famous line in 2020 where he said, I'm your Huckleberry is what was written on the page, and that's what I said, because there was a big debate about I'm your Huckleberry versus I'm your Hucklebearer. But so if that means that he stuck to the script, but based on some of the stuff I've read, he came up with a lot of the I don't know if it was the lines of dialogue, but like the whistling and stuff. Yeah, and that's not something that you can see in anyone else. There's something that was new and at the same time felt like it belonged, and yet at the same time is so wonderful to watch over and over and over again.
Yeah. So Doc Holliday's real name was John Henry. He was
John Henry Holliday. Is that what you said?
Yeah, John Henry Holliday. And he went by John Henry.
I did put Dr. J.H. Holliday on my prescription, but I wasn't sure exactly what they stood for. So
John Henry Holliday. He became a dentist at like 20. He went off to school right out of high school and kind of stuff, and became an actual dentist. Came down with tuberculosis that he caught from his mother. That she died from, and he ended up with that. And that kind of...
I didn't know that was a contagious thing. Boy, okay.
Which makes me wonder, like, all these motherfuckers that were around him, and apparently it is contagious. It was like, that's really odd. But yeah, he was a big gambler, and that's kind of what he was. The lady he was with, they call her Big Nose Kate. I guess she was okay with it. That was a legit. They ran around the South and met up with Doc Holliday in Dodge City, I think it was originally, and they became friends. They weren't as close as this movie makes them out to be, but it is. They also talk about him being a gunfighter, and in this movie they make him seem like he's the most deadliest dude out there. He actually was not a good gunfighter.
Okay.
He's down as one of the worst shots of the Old West.
Interesting. But did he have a reputation? Because that seems what they leaned into in this movie.
It kind of is. I kind of both a little bit. I think he kind of had a reputation as a gambler for sure, as a hothead for sure. 100% he was a hothead. But I think this movie puts him in a little bit more of a glorious light, a little bit of a hero worship kind of light.
Boy, yeah, I get that. Especially if you're caring for someone that is completely debilitated with tuberculosis and stumbling through every scene, and yet you're still saying, he's a hero. I want to be this guy. That's kind of screwed up. But
the whole thing with the herbs too, and this is what I found out when I listened. I jumped on and I do my podcast search to listen to some stuff, and what I actually found first was a couple different podcasts that talk about the movie and how it was made and stuff like that, and how crazy shit was. And I found a really good one. I got really into it. Let me see if I can figure out the name here as we talk. But they were talking about how this movie almost didn't get made because Kevin Costner tried to sabotage it.
Damn.
And how really bad it was, and all the stuff that went on, and the firing of the director and how he wrote it and stuff like that. So I found this. It's called It Was a Shit Show podcast. And they went into some deep stuff. Super enjoyed that podcast. I'm like, yeah, I'm signing up to listen to some of your other stuff, because what you guys told me about this Tombstone movie, it was great. I also found a couple others that really went deep into the story, the director and the writers and how everything, a lot with Kevin, and all the stuff that went down. So it's really interesting. And then I even found, and I jumped onto some actual old history podcasts, like they're Old West stuff. They're literally talking about the real people and what went down. And one of the things that really comes out, and this is interesting, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, the Earps were not good people, essentially. They were law-abiding, but they were also fucking crooked. They were not the stand-up heroes that this movie makes them seem.
That doesn't surprise me. This does come across as like a popcorn flick. It's not.
Yeah. It is designed.
It's
to
got
do that
history
for sure.
behind it, but it's not about. It's about. We want to see some gunfights and we want to see some cool comeback lines and the shootouts and stuff. So they certainly kind of allude to. This is where I think probably the original script probably, expanded on some of this stuff, gave you a little bit more.
I think it did.
Yeah.
That's the Cowboys themselves. So they were ranchers, right? And that's how they got the name, the Cowboys. They literally were ranchers and horse thieves and cattle thieves. And the Earps were, for the most part, lawmen, right? But they were also gamblers and kind of swindlers. And, they took things into their own hand. And the main thing Wyatt Earp wanted to do was make money coming out to Tombstone. And Tombstone itself, I went down some rabbit holes on the history of Tombstone, the town. It was going to be the next San Francisco. It was a big silver rush, right? And when all the shit was going down, like they literally got there. This whole movie happens over a 28th month kind of thing. What we don't get is after every one of these shootings and after every one of these big things that happens, there's court trials. Like some of them went on for 30 days. When Curly Bill shoots the sheriff, there was a big court thing afterwards where he stood trial and it was ruled an accident. The OK Corral, the actual shootout. I
wrote something down that I read about the Curly Bill, which this is actually from, I think, IMDb, but it says in the movie, Curly Bill is not charged with murder of Marshal Fred White as there were no witnesses in the shooting. But in real life, charges were not filed because prior to his death, Marshal White himself explained the shooting was an accident. Yep. Marshal White is the one that was murdered, right? I mean, to me, that's completely contradictory. It's like,
well, it happened in two ways. Both of those are actually correct statements because it actually happened down an alleyway.
But I mean, how is Marshal White how is he a witness?
Because he didn't die right away.
Oh, gotcha. All right. I guess I'll live with that. For me, it sounded like they were making up some sort of thing.
No, he grabbed.
I thought maybe the system was a little
Curly Bill was handing over his gun. The marshal grabbed the barrel, and it went off.
Gotcha. Okay, you sure?
And so, like I said, there's a bunch of different things, but part of what they had to do is they had to make the Cowboys look like more bad guys. That opening scene with them shooting the shootout with it's not even a shootout, it's a massacre of the Mexican army at the wedding.
Yeah.
That's not accurate. That never happened. They did have some battles with Mexico. Matter of fact, the Cowboys almost created a war between Mexico and the U.S. because of horse thievery. How would you call it? But it really goes back down into Ike and Billy Clayton and who are brothers, and then also there was another set of brothers. I'm trying to remember the names. I wish I was better at remember these names, like some of these guys that are so good at it. But like Ike is a major player throughout the Wyatt Earp story, and he doesn't end up dying in anything. So he was at the OK Corral, but he was one of those guys that got away. He was one of the only Cowboys that survived, essentially. There was a couple other things, and yes, he didn't end up dying. Johnny Ringo was not killed by Doc Holliday.
No, in fact, rumor is he killed himself.
They don't know for sure.
I know.
Yeah,
I
they
said
found
rumor,
him next to a tree,
and there was one shot that was heard, one bullet expended from his gun, and it's through his temple. So interesting though that's how they had Doc Holliday shoot him, was through the temple. So maybe they were trying to say, well,
and laid him against the tree.
Yeah, this could be a scenario because there's no proof one way or the other.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting. The other thing is a lot.
Okay.
A lot of this wasn't just the battles between the Cowboys and the Earps. A lot of it actually went between the Earps and the other sheriff, Beeham, because they were battling back and forth of who could be the sheriff, because the sheriff was also the tax collector, and that's where they got all their money, is the tax collector collected all the taxes and kept 10% of it. So the Earps wanted to be the sheriff so he could get that extra money. This became a political battle between the two sheriffs, and one backed the Cowboys, one backed the Earps, and back and forth and back and forth. It's crazy.
I will say the first scene where we're kind of introduced to Wyatt Earp's kind of business. You know when he goes and he kicks out Billy Bob Thornton, and then he goes to the barman. He says, who says he's the owner. He's like, 20% sound about right. And, it's kind of like, it's like, you need me, so you get a sense that there is a certain, he's a little shady. He's manipulated the situation, says, you need me. I'm the gangster that's I'm going to protect you from people like this. Therefore, I get a cut of the house. So they do set him up right off the bat where you kind of say, yeah, but he's so cool that we buy into it.
It's Hollywoodized so badly.
I'm reading about the Wyatt Earp.
That's what makes it brilliant.
I'm reading about the Wyatt Earp, the Lawrence Kasdan directed and written, the one that Kevin Costner starred in, and it sounds like that was actually written to be a miniseries. That was supposed to be like a 4-hour miniseries, but Kevin Costner was the one that said no. Let's turn it. I'm sorry, 6-hour miniseries until Kevin Costner joined the cast. But get this, Costner proceeded to use his then considerable clout to convince most major studios to refuse to distribute the competing film Tombstone. What a dick! Which affected, So yeah, boy. And then you look at. Okay, they both made about the same amount of money. Box office for Wyatt Earp, $55.9 million. No, I know. Hang on. And box office for Tombstone, 73. So it made a little bit more, but not that much more. But then when you look at the budget, it's $25 million budget for Tombstone. So it made 3 times its budget, whereas Wyatt Earp, the budget was the budget was 63 and it only made 55. So nice to stick it to Kevin Costner. He kind of people loved him during his rise. Dances with Wolves, and then there was some scene in a Madonna movie where he was kind of backstage and he made some sort of kind of asshole comment that made him look like, oh man, this guy's a dick. And then this kind of happened. And then I think a lot of Hollywood turned on him, or at least a lot of fans turned on him. I don't know why I'm talking about Kevin Costner during our talk about Tombstone, but you brought it up.
No, I get it.
Although he did return with one of my favorite films that he directed and starred in, and damn it, what the hell is that called?
Bodyguard?
No, it's a
Postman?
It's a Western. It's a Western, and it's with
Yellowstone is his big new one.
No, this was in
Highwayman.
Oh God, damn it! Where the hell is? Okay, how do I get to his? Keep talking. I'm going to bring it up here.
He tried to sabotage quite a bit, and I think it's one of those things where it's like he kind of came out as the asshole. Matter of fact, that's kind of what rushed the Tombstone movie is they wanted to beat them to the box office, right? Because it's one of those. You're probably talking Open Range.
Open Range, yes. Thank you. I still haven't found it yet, but yeah, that's the movie I was talking about. That's a really good Western. Really good Western. Okay.
It's one of those things where like the first movie that's kind of similar to the box office gets the better box office, and so Tombstone was shot over, I want to say it's 3 months. It was very rushed and edited very quickly. So I think that when you go back and I don't know about you, I went back and watched this. Like I said, I watched this 3 times over the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
It does not hold up when you look at this with a fine-tooth comb and you look at this with a critical eye and you really go, man, is this a good movie?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I think we're on the same page.
There's so many just. Why did that happen? There's so many things that happen without explanation. Things that were shot that would have had that looked like they had a scene. This looks like something got put on TV and got shredded for commercials and dropped, and you lose some of the story. And I think that's what happened. And there's a rumor that there is a cassette that has another 45, 50 minutes of film on it. Like this. You want to talk about director's cut?
Jeez, that for a 30-year-old movie, that's quite the rumor, because you'd expect that would have emerged if that was actually the case.
I think they're saying it's Russell who has it.
Kurt
if
Russell,
I'm not
okay.
mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but like you talk about like, man, this movie could have been so as good as it is. I admit it is still entertaining. It is still holds up for about half of it. If you don't look too deep into it, it really does. It's very interesting. Kurt Russell is great. Val Kilmer is phenomenal, like fucking god status in this. Like he literally is. He what's his name? The Joker, Keith Ledger's Joker, right?
Sure, yeah.
The Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday is on that same pedestal as Keith Ledger's Joker.
Yeah. Val Kilmer's career wasn't in the shitter, but it wasn't doing great. I almost think it was almost similar to how John Travolta's career was resurrected with Pulp Fiction a little bit. It kind of elevated it. It said, my God, this actor is how did we miss him? I mean, he'd already done The Doors. We'd seen him in Real Genius and some of his other movies. So he had some things that were effective. But to this sort of a movie, and I think it's interesting because I think the fact that maybe it's just me, but the fact that I didn't care for this movie that much, and yet he is the reason that makes this a classic. Yeah. He is the reason that makes it the top. The top of the top 20, it's in the top 25 best Westerns of all time. Or, it makes a lot of, no, I just mean it makes a lot of lists. I think that's because of Val Kilmer. That people overlook the fact that the movie is just kind of so-so. And
the first half is really good.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a movie. That makes the first half.
Well, but I mean, let's talk about, you're talking about top 25 Westerns. That's not a huge list. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, Unforgiven to me is probably my favorite Western of all time.
Tragically, I've not seen any of the Fistful of Dollars. No, the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns. There's the trilogy, the Fistful of Dollars for a Few More Dollars and Good, Bad, or the Ugly, which I'd love to watch. I've seen certainly scenes because it's but they have a lore that I kind of I think in the past I've tried to find them, but they're not streaming anywhere. And but I wouldn't mind kind of revisiting it wouldn't be revisiting, it'd be seeing them for the first time. But there's been some really good things said about that trilogy and how it is like one of the best trilogies of all time. Maybe I'm getting this from Quentin Tarantino because I think that's one of his top ones.
Yeah,
and we've recently talked a lot about his top lists of perfect movies and stuff, and he can't stop talking about that trilogy. So
yeah, well, Quentin Tarantino's a little weird too, so I don't know if I would buy half of what he said.
Hey, he worked in a video store, so I've got some history that kind of aligns with him.
Oh, there we go. That's the tie. You guys both went to film school and both worked at a video store.
I don't know if he went to. Right. I don't know if he went to film school, but I did direct a film in college, so I'm a director alongside Quentin. Thank you very much.
There you are. You 100%. I should just shut up now because no. But coming at this from I remember this being so epic and stuff like that, and rewatching it with that critical eye, I found some holes in it, and then listening to actual history, listening to everything that happened with the filming of this, the what could have been just sits on the top of my brain going, oh my God, what could have been? The story with the women, like what was the lives with those guys like? What was the original story? Why were they, because you really could have left most of them out of this and it wouldn't have changed the story too much. But in the original story, they were a big part of it. There's just so much more. But it is incredible. There was one scene, and they did a really good job. I listened to a podcast talking to an actual gun enthusiast about the Old West. He literally goes around and does quick draw things and stuff like that. and he was talking about the weapons of this movie, and they're pretty accurate. I think he even made some of the belts and the holsters and stuff like that. And they talked about how they're very legit, where they're up on their hips and stuff like that. They're not slung low and hanging like a lot of the cool movies look. So they was very legit. Other than the fact that there's a couple things that I just found off, and one of the guys even brought it up. There's the actual shootout in the OK Corral.
Adjacent.
Why? Adjacent. It is, because it wasn't actually in the OK Corral. It was actually like three doors down kind of thing.
You mentioned adjacent earlier. I just thought that was a good thing to
Wyatt Earp brings out this pistol that's got like this 12-inch fucking barrel on it, which is a legitimate gun from the Old West, but it's like one of those kind of fancy, like nobody really ever used it in a gunfight, because for one, it would take you forever to pull it out of your holster. And he's like, there's no way he was shooting that gun. It actually had a name.
John Holmes. Is that what it's called? John Holmes?
Good call. I think it was a Brunelli or something like that. But the fact that they got a couple things right, where Doc Holliday was actually out still in the street. They had given him the shotgun and took his cane from him. And the reason, remember I talked about him being such a bad shot earlier? They knew he was a bad shot, so they gave him the shotgun because they figure if anything, you could hit someone with a fucking shotgun.
That's funny, because in the movie, they said, let's give him the shotgun. And I thought, well, isn't that...
He called it a street howitzer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but it came across as almost 100 opposite of what you would think, and so this what you're saying kind of leans into why it was.
So
actually
here's the thing with shotguns. This is the other thing. If you don't know guns, right? First off, the pistols that they're fighting with did not do the damage, or they did the damage. They were not as accurate as the way they have these guys. Like, they were not killing each other with 1-2 shots. There were shootouts, a lot of shootouts in the Old West, where they would fire all 6 rounds and nobody hit anybody, and they'd walk the fuck away.
Yeah. Well, they say Wyatt Earp, when he died, because he was an old man when he died, he had never actually
been shot.
Never been shot at all. How many gunfights he was in, he'd never been shot.
So the fact that they gave Doc the shotgun was kind of funny and legit. That was all historically correct. They have people. The line that he says, he's I got you. He's like, you're a daisy if you do. Someone actually is written down as saying that's what they heard from the fucking. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So there's some funny things about this that they get some stuff right.
I like how they lean into some of the language, because I wrote, I'm your Huckleberry. I mean, that line itself, it has a meaning in the 80s. That had its place.
I'm your man.
Yeah, I'm your man. I'm the man. I'm the right man for the job. You're a daisy if you do. If you're brave or dumb enough to try, I'll kill you. That's kind of what that was. The skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens. All these things. There was a lot of these lines. I like how they lean into the idioms of the time and the delivery for. Especially Kurt Russell, the way he says it, the way Val Kilmer says his lines, they do it in a way where, even though you don't understand what the hell they're talking about, because it's not an idiom that's used today, it still feels authentic and legitimate, and you get a sense of exactly what it means, even though you're not really sure. I like how they're not afraid to use lines like that, even though they don't have to provide context and explain this is what this means.
Yeah. So the Vendetta ride is a little off too. Like they act like he went around just killing hundreds of fucking cowboys, anybody wearing a red sash. He actually only killed 3 people in his Vendetta ride. They were actually looking for 4 people that were suspected of shooting Morgan. And so there was that was the Vendetta ride. He did have the 5 guys with him, and they went around, but they only killed 3 of them. So there wasn't this kind of crazy like running down everybody, and that drove me fucking nuts. Them riding on the horses, shooting shotguns, especially shotgun at anything more than about 20 feet you're not going to kill a man 90% of the time, especially if you're shooting buckshot and stuff like that. It just doesn't have the backing up.
Sure.
So that was one of the parts where I really, the most idiotic scene in the entire fucking movie was Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp shaking hands while riding horseback at full speed. That was just stupid. I was like, come on, guys. What kind of that's like the superhero landing in the MCU movie. It's just kind of really it's not even as cool as that, I guess. One of the other ones I really wanted to point out I thought was a little off is my favorite character, your least favorite, Billy or Curly Bill, when he comes out of the opium den and he starts shooting at the moon. So he's walking, firing his dual pistols up at the moon. I counted the number of shots. I counted 19. Okay. Those pistols were 5 to 6 rounds maximum. Okay. There is at no point where he stopped to reload, because at the whole time he has 2 guns in his hands. You can't reload those guns with a gun in your hand. So it's a little bit off. I was like, come on.
Wait, 19? Maybe you were hearing 19? Double. Maybe you were hearing double. That's
I hadn't been drinking when I was watching that and counting. And I counted on my fingers just because, I wanted to make sure I got it right. But it was one of those, I was like, he's firing a little too much. But other than those little things, if you want to get nitpicky, this was pretty good with what they did.
Have you seen the Coen Brothers remake of True Grit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Okay. That's a movie that, from a Western standpoint, and from a filmmaking standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, I think gets a lot of things right and really leans into effective pace of storytelling, characters, and it really does a good job trying to get an authentic feel of those sort of the sort of things that you're talking about, trying to get a lot of those things right without drawing attention to the fact, not getting in the way of the story. So
there's some incredible scenes in that. I mean, Jeff Bridges, it's an iconic movie that
there's a character that reminds me kind of your dad, even though I don't know.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know your dad that well, but that's the kind of presence when I see your dad. That's the presence I get is Jeff Bridges.
No, and you know what?
Not as the dude, but as
right. Yeah, no, from True Grit.
Yeah,
as Rooster
Cogburn. That's right.
He could have 100% been that with his beard and his hair, but I mean, originally this was a John Wayne. This was a huge, just everybody loved it. This is one of those ones where remakes. It's kind of like, oh, really? Why? This one, I'm kind of like, yeah, y'all did right. Haley Steinfeld. Right. Maddie Ross in this, she's incredible.
And it's we were talking about dentists earlier because Doc Holliday's a dentist. Remember when he runs into the dentist while he's wandering, and it's the guy. Right. He's got the bear head. He's got the skinned bear head on, and he talks in such a weird dialect.
The Old West was just what it was.
He wants the dead body. I'll buy the dead body off you for and his the way he enunciates words. It's just crazy. But hey. That's the Old West. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, but that's you get that. We your boy Tarantino and Kurt Russell got back together and did a kind of cool Western with Hateful Eight. That is
right.
I think that's where Tarantino would have been talking about movies like this, and maybe this is why he got Kurt Russell specifically for that, because that was a very believable Western style movie where it's
to me that was a stage play. That was a stage play that it did have some epic scenery and stuff, but
it was all done in
90% of the movie took place in one building, and I thought that the screenplay itself was all could have that movie I wouldn't be surprised if one day they turn that into a stage play, maybe with singing. I could see that.
Oh my God.
Well, because
The
that's
Hateful Eight, the musical.
yeah, right.
Okay, if that ever came out and was in San Francisco, I would go see that. And I hate going to San Francisco, but I would see the Hateful Eight musical in San Francisco. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Has Tarantino ever got a stage played off of his movies?
I don't know.
Is there a what is it?
Kill Bill, maybe.
Oh God, that'd be so. What was Reservoir Dogs? Is that been done on the stage yet?
Jeez, I don't know. Oh, now I'm gonna look it up.
Quentin Tarantino on stage.
Go ahead. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, Kurt Russell though. This was a huge movie for him. I mean, he's got so many movies that are so big. We did The Thing, right? Which was talk about an epic beard. The Thing. But he's just had so many, and I mean, this isn't even my favorite Kurt Russell movie. Neither is The Thing. Neither is Tombstone. But the one I always go back to, which there's two of them. Which is funny. Nothing near. Oh God, there's another one too. Jesus Christ! I'm looking at his IMDb and just finding movie after movie after movie that he did. That I was like, oh my God, I forgot he was in that. That's so good.
Escape from
Big
New
Trouble
York.
in Little China.
Sure. Yeah.
One of my absolute favorite movies of all times.
I know you've been wanting to podcast on that at some point.
I love that fucking movie. But I was looking at this too, and I was like, I mean, he's got stuff like Backdraft, Tango and Cash. What was the other one I just saw that I was like, oh God, that's funny. Where did it go? Oh damn. Oh, Overboard.
Oh yeah, with his
wife,
with his partner. I don't think they're married.
They're married now, right?
Are they? I thought they were never officially married. They've been together for forever.
So they're common law married then.
Okay, there you go. That's fine.
Especially if they're still in Goldie Hawn. I have always thought that movie was fucking fabulous.
You and Cindy has loved that as well.
It's always been one of my favorite movies, but there's so much stuff with him that is so good. And even recently when he's done his little Christmas thing with the Christmas Chronicles, I think those are hilarious too. He's such a good actor. Like he's had all these hits that are off and on, and he's had some failures. So
as far as Quentin Tarantino's stage plays, he's protective of his work and brand, and there's no indication he's authorized any traditional theatrical adaptations. But there are some unofficial adaptations. Pulp Shakespeare, it's a reimagining of Pulp Fiction in the style of Shakespearean language and structure. There's Reservoir Dolls, DOLLS, a gender-swapped parody. And then Tarantino Live, Fox Force 5, and the Tyranny of Evil Men. Which comes from Pulp Fiction. Tyranny of Evil. Well, Fox Force 5 was the pilot that. In fact, that was the name of my cocktail that I did for when we covered Pulp Fiction. Tyranny of Evil Men. That was a line. The Tyranny of Evil Men. What was that line from? Was that Sam Jackson saying that when he was talking about the biblical verse when he's in the restaurant at the end, and he's talking about he's got the gun pointed at the guy that's trying to rob the restaurant. Okay, anyway. Our host has to take a bathroom break here, so I'm going to pause it. All right, we're back, and we have an empty bladder on our host's hand. Yeah.
Well, I hate when other podcasts have a ton of commercial breaks because of, they're going to throw 3 minutes of ads at us. But I understand sometimes why it might be worthwhile.
Oh, they're just cutting to a commercial break so they can
they can go do their business. Yeah, exactly. I think it's because I drank that extra beer. That's an extra probably 16 ounces that I don't normally get. So
team, look at me. I'm like,
oh, look at you. You get into the
It doesn't
That's
feel
okay.
like I've had that much to drink, but man.
No, it's because we have a great conversation going, and that's what this podcast is about. Oh, speaking of, this is something I wanted to drop on this one too. I wanted to drop it earlier, but I just found out recently that on Spotify you can leave messages on individual podcasts. So if you have a question or a comment directly to the podcast you're listening to, you can leave it on Spotify. So if you're not listening to Spotify now, that might be worth going over there. And I went back and tried to find any episode that we had questions and comments on, and we had a few, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Now, did you make it so that you're not notified now?
I am notified now if I get messages, if we get messages on Spotify, and I will go and respond and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're listening on Spotify or you have access to Spotify and you have comments, complaints, questions, whatever you want to tell us, say that's a great drink, or you have a drink request or a movie, anything, whatever you want to do, get on the episode and let us know, because it's a cool way for us to interact with you guys, the fans.
I had a text. Someone told me I needed to add a little bit more bass to my voice. So now I'm all self-conscious that I don't have a very good podcast voice. So well. Can't do much about that unless I go in.
See, now I've listened to us, and I think you have a great voice. I hate my own, but that's just, I think that's natural in everybody's.
Exactly, ditto. I'm just as critical as mine as how you sound about your own, and I think you have a very good voice. So we're supportive in that way. But our audience can drop a line on Spotify and break the tie and see who's got the better podcast voice.
There we go. That's the question.
Yes.
And I will start shouting out people. I will bring up the questions. We'll do them early so people can get into it. So without having to listen to 6 hours of podcast.
I think I have pretty good podcast voice. No, I'm sorry, ad voice when I do my ads.
Oh, yeah.
But it's been like a year and a half since I've done an ad. So
yeah, we should get those back going. Those are really good.
Well, they take a little time.
No, I get it. I understand. I'm with you. Yeah, no, I totally get that. This has been one of those first weekends where I haven't, like, everything's kind of gone really nice and easy for a while. I got to go to a hockey game yesterday.
Nice.
They have the senior tournament at Snoopy's. I got to go visit some of the people I used to play with, so it was really cool. This weekend I'm going out and hanging out with my dad and some friends I high school with. It's like everything's kind of coming up, so I got some more time, so it's kind of nice. Had a crazy hectic first part of the year, and now we're here and we're doing Tombstone.
That's nice. This is actually a very hectic time for me. I've got a lot of turnover at work that I'm dealing with, a new boss, an exiting boss that's retiring, and then next week my brother's getting married in the middle of the week, so I'm going to be absent for our typical Wednesday podcast, which means we're probably going to postpone or do something to kind of make up for it later. I don't know, but
we'll figure it out. We always do.
But I'm also, I've agreed to do a few songs at the rehearsal dinner on my guitar. And so I'm stressed out about that because I haven't been playing as much as I used to.
That's messed up that they even asked you.
It's the rehearsal dinner. No, it's okay.
No, I know.
It's okay. And it was his fiance that asked me, and she's wonderful. And I've played songs for them before. So it's okay. It's not
are these what's the show from New Zealand, the Flight of the Conchords? Are you doing Flight of the Conchords songs?
I'm doing 5 songs. One of them is Flight of the Conchords. Yes, absolutely. And I've told my brother he's going to come up and sing it with me because I'm going to do a read because I've already played this one once at a wedding before.
So good.
And so but this time I'm going to have him come up, and this is the most beautiful girl in the room. Yep. I've already kind of given him a heads up that he's going to be singing that with me.
So, shout out to Katie if she's listening.
Right.
Your wedding was incredibly fun, and Steve killed it. That song. That was great that you requested that.
I'm going to do a Muppet song. I'm going to do one of my own original songs. I do have a Dave Matthews song I'm doing, and then I'm going to close with a group singing of "Closer to Find." Just that I sang that at my own wedding 31 years ago. So
you're not just doing a couple songs. You're playing a whole concert.
No, I've prepared 5 songs. I have no idea how this is going to go. If it's just like, this could be very informal. Where I know this is the rehearsal dinner is not. It's more just a gathering in their suite, the night before. So I don't know how many people are going to be there. If it's going to be formal, informal, or not. I'm just trying to be prepared. I'll let you know.
I've got a small request.
Okay.
I probably I don't know if they're even listening, but my daughter's wedding is coming up. I kind of want you to play the Beatles, the Flight of Concord song at that one. I'm gonna talk to my wife. I'm gonna talk to your wife too, because if you're playing, I want some video. But yeah, no, I know you're gonna be there because you're
who's gonna sing it?
Sort of, you would.
Well, yeah, but this is like
I can't sing.
No, I know, but this is kind of a love. Am I singing it to my wife? Or am I?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, you played it at Katie's.
I know, but I played it off like I was previously in love with her. I mean, I played it into the kind of the parody of it. And
okay.
Someone actually believed me. They came up and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm
gonna go.
But it would be awkward.
Folks.
It would be awkward to sing this.
Singing it to my daughter.
To your daughter.
Okay. All right. I'll talk. I will talk to some people and see.
I'm having to get clearance on whether or not we can sing the line. You're as beautiful as a high-class prostitute, which is one of the lines in this. Just Dan's checking with his fiance whether or not we should just omit that line.
Oh my God, you got to. No, you got to.
He said it's probably fine, but he thinks it's appropriate to just kind of get the thumbs up before
this world of offended people. Come on.
I love Jenny. She's great. So I'm not gonna.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna. I don't know if she'd be offended or not, or if they would. I was just making a joke.
I think Dan's just doing the
proper thing.
He's the groom. He's just trying to cover his bases.
No, we've both been married for a long time. We understand what you do.
It's less than a week before the wedding, and he's very stressed. And
would you mind if my brother calls you a prostitute? I mean, a high cost prostitute, not like a low.
Well, it's not. If I'm making him sing it, it's him calling her that.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
In front of family and friends, that are there for the,
right.
Who might not be in on the joke.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna mention this to Seth and see what his take on it is. I don't think he's a singer, so I'm gonna say you're probably off the hook, but be ready just in case. No, Tombstone. Fun movie, interesting movie. The end is a little. It gets a little over its skis. It's like
I think this was a great discussion though, just because of some of the background of the shooting too. I mean, Val Kilmer made this was the reason we chose to talk about this because of he's kind of this featured this month. There's actually a book from 2018, The Making of Tombstone, that goes into some of the production stuff. I wonder if it better cover some of the controversy with.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh,
Kevin Costner, and certainly all the director changes and stuff.
There was one podcast that was broken into 4 separate podcasts because they were all about an hour and a half long, of people of 2 girls going over the story of what happened. The other one I really recommend is I found a podcast called The Legends of the Old West. It was a 5-part miniseries talking about Tombstone itself and everything that went on there. Really, really fun. I talked about it earlier. That Was a Shit Show was a really good podcast that had the information. Hollywood Crime Scene is another one. Is one of the ones that I kind of. It was like 4 episodes that covered the movie Tombstone and everything that happened with it. So there's a ton of stuff out there. I'm trying to see if there was one other one that really went deep into the background and what went wrong. It's another 2-parter that really went into the details of the shooting of the movie and stuff like that. So if you're really interested in that, those are good podcasts to listen to. Like I said, listening to those got me so interested in what really happened that I went into some real history. Makes me want to go deeper into it. I'm not done with Tombstone yet. I want more. There's just so much. There was a scene in if this was, if Kurt Russell was actually really calling the shots and cutting his own lines and doing this, there is a scene, and it's a legit from history, where he kills Curly Joe or Curly Bill. I don't know why I call him Curly Joe. Curly Bill in the creek, which was supposed to be a dry creek, but it rained earlier in that. another cool part of the.
Okay.
To that afterward, where he, there's the pin down. That's legit history, right? And he goes out fucking under fire and just. Apparently, the history guy gave a really good indication of what happened, but all these guys are shooting at him, and he's coming out and he kills Curly Bill, in this point blank kind of standoff. The only problem I have with the scene is Kurt Russell's. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it, but he's like, no. It's like. It sounds so stupid. It's
like the remake of the not remake, but the reissue of Return of the Jedi, I believe, when Darth Vader sees Luke Skywalker being zapped by all the electricity from the Emperor.
Oh, right, yeah.
And in the original, there's kind of the look back and forth, and then he goes over and he picks up the Emperor and throws him down the shaft. But in the reissue, he goes. There's kind of the look, and he goes, no, and he goes and he picks him up, and it
just goes on too long.
It reminded me of that. Yeah, you're right.
It's like watching your kid pick up something from the ground and eat it. You're like, no. It just goes on a little too long.
What's the Monty Python scene from Holy Grail when the guy's running towards the castle and it keeps cutting and he keeps running? It's like
running farther back.
And then finally he's there. That's kind of the nose. The nose just kind of keep coming over and over again, and they all.
So that is a legit scene from history where White.
That's an actual recording. That's an actual recording from the 1880s.
I think he was actually saying, "Oh shit! But no, they literally he had gun or bullet holes in his jacket, just bunch of them, but he never got hit, and it's because something I think his holster slipped down his hip, so he was trying to reach for it, so it made him kind of do this awkward turn and twist and thing, and so it just set him up. Also. Again, these old Western shows where these guys are sharpshooters and just picking off people with these pistols, fucking not accurate at all. First off, revolvers with a short barrel are not as accurate as modern day pistols, and you still aren't hitting people like you do with that. I mean, it's just very, very inaccurate for what it is, but it's exciting as fuck to watch.
You talked about the dialogue during this scene from Kurt Russell, the no, and
it's pretty bad.
And what they could have possibly filled it with was music. And when you said the nose, I thought about what they could have filled it with, and I was reminded of watching it a couple nights ago and hearing the music and. There's early on, like the first half, there's some music that comes in. It's got some like metal clanking and things like that. It's really good, but to me, it almost sounds exactly like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the sequence when Indiana Jones is chasing with a horse after the Ark, after it's kind of driven away, and it turns into kind of that scene where he's trying to stop the truck that's driving away with the Ark, and there's the cliff on the side that one of the trucks goes over. But the music, it almost feels like a copycat version of that soundtrack. So
yeah, I try to think of what else he could have said. One no would have been good, and then like you said, the music comes in, or maybe half the no. It was odd. It was weird. But I also like I said, the handshake scene. It was very cinematic, but it was not very believable and realistic. And it also didn't really tell the story of the true Vendetta ride, which is a legitimate story where he went out after the killers of his brother, and they chased him all over the West and fucking caught 3 of them and didn't. And at the same time, they kind of showed it. This is the one major line where we get from Jason Priestley, where there's the other posse that's chasing down Wyatt Earp, and he goes, "Well, I got to go back to Tombstone because we got to have law somewhere." And you're like, "Okay, what the fuck's going on there?" I really don't understand. Like, everybody had a badge at this point. One of the other things that I thought was very interesting is the very ending we have Doc Holliday in the hospital bed in Colorado, and Wyatt Earp comes in and plays cards with him, and this is, you know, alluding to the death of Doc Holliday. He's laying in the bed and he looks down and he sees his bare feet and he's like, I'll be damned. This is funny. True to the final words.
But nobody was there.
There said a nurse in a nearby bed, or at a nearby bed,
Okay.
heard his final words. And so the idea is that what it really came down to is Doc Holliday looked down and this is the meaning behind the scene, whether or not it's true or not, true fiction or true to life. Barefoot, right? Doc Holliday always thought he would die with his boots on, basically in a gun battle or whatever like that. And that's why it's funny him seeing his bare feet. And
They never have a line where he says that though, right? It's just
no, but
okay.
it's just it's kind of a common theme with cowboys, not cowboys, but just Old West is die with your boots on, right? Die standing up, die fighting, die, you know, go down as a man. You know, they said I've heard this somewhere, I don't even remember where, and it might just be total bullshit that I'm making up. I can't even remember. But that, you know, certain cowboys would sleep with their boots on because, you know, if someone came in and shot at them, they wanted to die with their boots on. It was just this machismo thing of the Old West.
No, that resonates as very true. I never thought of it though. I thought it was like he's looking at his toes and he dies. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but you know, and they also have that whole sequence with Morgan when he dies, and he's, you know, he says about
you don't see the light.
You don't see the light. That's bullshit. Or, you know, and then that's his last words. So those last moments, that's a couple scenes where you kind of experience the last moments of death with someone. And
that's another one where the timing of this movie doesn't work right. That in real life is so. Virgil got shot in the arm from you know, off in an alley. And then Morgan gets shot in the back in a pool hall. So the idea is that all happened in one night. You know, it was like 3-4 months apart.
Yeah.
And from each other. Also, never shot at the women. But the cool thing is,
I watched that a couple nights ago. I watched that scene when the guy bursts in on the women and he shoots, and then he runs away, and the camera just kind of immediately pans over to the women, and they all seem like, "Oh, are you okay?" There's no panic or anything like that. It just feels like, what the hell? That's not how they would be reacting if someone just opened up.
Well, not only that, but women in the Old West actually carried firearms. I would have thought some fire shots would have fired back. But
either way,
I wanted
the reaction just felt completely acted.
Right. So the Virgil Earp scene where he's walking down and he's out kind of in the street and there's lightning and thunder and stuff like that. and then you know, Wyatt Earp goes out there when he's crying and he's got his blood all in his hand, and the girl comes out and he's like, "Not now." And so
it's all right. Cool, she forgave him right after he said it.
Fucking bullshit too. But anyways, she wasn't even there apparently at that time in the real life. But the reason the shooting ended up the way it did is because they actually had real thunder and lightning storms.
What? But
yes.
Well, okay. It looked
so.
I mean, some of the footage of lightning looked legit, but the stuff where he's wandering along the road and you see just
I think it's the one with Virgil Earp is legit. Like
okay.
So that remember, this was a very tight schedule. I think they shot this all in like 3 months.
Okay.
So they were saying these guys were shooting 20 hours a day kind of thing. So I
probably
think
scrambling to get it out plenty of time before Wyatt Earp
I think they were like, "Oh shit, rain's coming in. Let's shoot this fucking scene and do." And so, once again, I listened to hours and hours over the last week, and I was blown away with so much cool information of the background of how the movie got shot, how it almost didn't get shot, how the story went from one director to another director to a ghost director, but then also listening to true old you know, West history about this stuff. I was like, this is phenomenal. This literally has become one of the coolest movie research parts that I've done for this podcast. I've enjoyed so much of this.
It's thrilling that this movie succeeded against all odds in a sense that, it really didn't. I mean,
Exactly.
It was so much turmoil, but it had players in the end that you wanted to succeed. And so I think a lot of people are really happy that this movie overcame, Kevin Costner and his beast, his juggernaut of a movie that he wanted to make, and like screw this, and doing what he can to kind of pull strings to make it so this doesn't succeed. And against all odds, this one just like has its place. I don't think it was very big its first week. I think it was third or fourth in the theater.
It didn't do very good the first week, but got better.
Sure.
Second week,
it was one of
third
the
week.
It's one of those odd movies that makes more money the second week of release than the first week because of word of mouth and something that's building on it, and it just shows.
The big part too is Val Kilmer was not nominated.
They kind of got screwed with the timing because it was released.
Yeah, it came out December 24th.
Right, and so it doesn't. Oh, December 24th. Wait, really?
That's what I heard.
Okay, well, that's actually right in line with Academy. Well, although you're right, December 25th, 1993 is what Wikipedia says, but but because of its slow build, Academy Awards did not recognize it, and then it probably wasn't eligible the next year.
You know what it is? It says 25th, but everybody shows it early the morning before, or the night before.
I don't know. Back in '93,
I heard the
I don't know if they did that.
I don't know.
You're probably right. I don't know. I'm looking.
I would have cosplayed to go see this opening night. I would have worn a big duster and hat. No, I think it's so cool. It's one of those ones. I'm glad we went and did this because of Val Kilmer, because he is so iconic in it. I was so excited to see all the other Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott. I know
Powers Booth. Yep, that's all right.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah,
he's a guy you love to hate. Michael Biehn, all those guys, they just killed it so much.
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang is
even though I didn't like him in Avatar, he was epic.
The biggest fucking cur there is, the Cowardly Man, the real life story of Ike Clayton and Wyatt Earp is ridiculously crazy. Like, those two, they're one of the biggest. Ike is one of the biggest reasons that the shootout happened, and it has to do with this. Go find the real history. It's so insane when you really see what it's all about. You're like, oh my god, this is so nuts that this really happened. I don't know what else to say, but I'm your Huckleberry.
Hail Caesars.
What does that mean?